Sociability. A crisis in our modern society. A problem that a lot of people don't know how to deal with. And if you're struggling yourself, how do you find a way to be sociable? We're going to give you all the details today on Intuitive Deep Dive. I'm Camden.
I'm Thomas.
And welcome to the show. What exactly is sociability? Well, sociability, as defined on Google.
Oxford Languages.
Oxford Languages, sorry. Need to be more specific. Oxford Languages. That's where the definitions come from. I'm not doing a straight upright definition here, but it's relative description of what it was saying. Essentially, it's the ability to be able to talk to other people and want to talk to other people, as well as being a desirable person to talk to. Sociability is a very important, I would say necessary aspect of life. You need it to survive. But why is that? Well, it's literally rooted in our biology. As an ancient human, you lived with other humans, right? And, well, if you were going to survive, you depended on others as well as your own actions to survive. You were in a tribe.
Yeah. The second thing we did to develop after farming was to group together and form hierarchies.
And societies, exactly. We literally depended on it. So, what happened to the people who were not sociable? They did not have a tribe. They did not live in a society. They were alone. And because of that, they would most likely die. They had no other resources except for their own individuality and their mind, which can be good to an extent. But the problem is, if you want to really succeed, you need other minds to help build off of your own. So sociability is a necessary skill for survival, even in the modern age. But, as we've seen through modern news outlets, or somewhere else, or family, parents, friends, somewhere, you've heard that there's been a large social problem. And who knows, if you're watching this, you may yourself even have an issue with sociability. And why is that? Especially in the modern age, we like to point the finger at the internet.
Yeah. I might be biased because I really kind of... I try to degrade the internet a lot and show the bad traits because I don't think they're shown enough. But on the internet, you can talk with more people than ever before. And that's a problem because that's what you'd rather do than talk with a normal person, because you can talk with whoever you want and switch whenever you want.
And it is easier than actually going out there and having face-to-face conversation when you're just a couple clicks away and you're with a person. Now, the problem with this is it's not true social interaction, because part of what makes a social interaction invigorating for the spirit is the reactions you get from body language, facial cues, essentially stuff like that. That's why our minds have been trained to recognize human faces as well, if you do some research on that topic.
And that's important. And that's important because there's a certain part of development that you need social interaction for. Eric Homburg Ericsson, he was a German psychologist. He developed his theory of psychosocial development. I think we've mentioned it before. But you need social interaction to develop through those stages. And you'll get some bad traits if you don't, and some good traits if you do. And honestly, the good traits are like what makes some people think life is worth living. So that's necessary. But it's also necessary because the problem of sanity can't be solved within our own minds. So what we do is we outsource the problem. It's almost like trial and error. So we act a certain way and see how someone else responds to it. And we keep doing that and kind of fine-tune our behavior. And sanity is kind of acting in a normal way. That's the definition I got from Oxford Languages. Then I looked at insanity, and it's the inability to act in a normal way. So if you didn't know how to act normally, if you weren't socialized and didn't know how to act normally, that is insanity right there. So, exactly what you need is social interaction. There's no fast food version that you can find on the internet. It doesn't work.
Now, with what Thomas was talking about, the problem of sanity, we actually have something in the description if you want to learn more about this, Thomas.
Yeah, I wrote a paper on why we seek validation, which is essentially that trial and error and seeing how they react to it. So we'll link that in the description.
And if you want to read that, go check it out. Now that we have essentially the reasons for why sociability is necessary for our modern survival, let's discuss how to be sociable. Now, especially for people who suffer with social anxiety or social problems in general, if you want to start to be more sociable, there's two things that you should have right before you start to dive deeper into the world of larger social interaction. And we'll define them for you right now. The first one is you want to have a good goal in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for those who are goal-oriented, this is going to keep you disciplined for continuously being more social and pushing your boundaries. Have a goal. What is it going to do for you? How is it going to help you? Will you be less lonely? Is there jobs that you want that will require sociability?
Yeah.
Is there a certain person that you want to be friends with or in a relationship with? Assess these goals and keep them in mind. Now, the second reason is, honestly, we would argue probably the best advice that you will find in this video. Establish your values. Now, what does this mean exactly? Well, your values are the rules that you have for the way you go about life. It's what you believe in, and you always stick to them, regardless of the circumstance. Establish those. Write them down. Like, literally get a piece of paper out, write it down, slap it up on your wall.
Mm-hmm.
Keep that in mind all the time.
And then, once you have those values, whenever you have friends that might try to influence you away from your values, you have them on paper, and you can decide, do I want to do that? Does it corrupt my values? Am I willing to compensate? No. Am I willing to corrupt my values or come to a... What's the word I'm looking for? When two people sacrifice a thing to come to an agreement.
Oh,
I feel like it started with a C.
I mean, I was thinking to split the difference. Conclusion. I don't know.
But yeah, see if you're willing to do that. And a good example of values.
An example of value is like trust. So, honesty. That's a really good value. A lot of people value honesty. So, if one of your values is honesty, you could write that down and try to find friends who are honest. And in a circumstance where your friends might challenge that, if they actually are good friends even, is, let's say you're with some friends at night. Some people that you've been hanging out with for a little while, and all of a sudden, one of them decides to go and rob a gas station nearby. They just decide to shoplift. Not even rob. Maybe rob, that's pretty extreme. But let's say you're at a gas station and your friends are saying, hey, let's just take this and not pay for it and run, right? They're not being honest people. They're lying. Or in another situation where your friends are spreading rumors, or if your friends are lying about something to get away with another cause. They're not honest people. They're liars. They're being a liar. People who do this are breaking your values. So, question if you should even be friends with them. Because you want to establish your relationships and friendships off of your values.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're with people who do not follow your values, then you should not be friends with them. You should not be in a relationship with them. Because they are not going to help you strive in life.
And in psychology, we say your environment becomes your identity, and this is very true to some degree, because your all the nurture in your life, that's basically half your personality, if not more. So when you have friends that you hang out with all the time that have contradicting values to you, they're gonna impose and corrupt your own values. So if you want to stay true to your values, that's another reason why you want to make friends with the same value as you, is so that you can sustain your own values.
You, as well as your friends, will grow if you implement this into your sociability habits. Now, I honestly want to give a personal example from my life.
Okay.
Where I value like honesty and truth. So it doesn't just mean lying, but it also, in my case, I also value honesty in if there's a problem that I see in another person, I want to be upright with them. So here's a good example, as I already said. I had a friend who was showing me his pictures of his ex. And I asked him, I was like, why did you guys break up? And he goes, oh, well, actually, we're kind of like an on-off thing. And I was like, oh, okay, interesting. And then I asked him a question. And this question was, what do you desire in her? What do you like about her that makes you want to go on and off with her? And he couldn't say anything. He's like, I just do it. Like, he didn't give me a concrete answer. So I kind of took this in and I was like, all right, well, that tells me something. And he's like, what is it? I said, well, first of all, you don't have respect in yourself. And she doesn't have respect in you. And so he kind of froze there for a minute. And that also tells me something else. I honestly lost a little bit of respect for you myself. Because you're in a situation where you're not happy. I mean, you might think you are for a moment, but then you break up and you get back together. The emotional roller coaster is toxic. I want what's best for you, man. Like, why do you do this to yourself? I just lost a little bit of respect for you for that. And so that kind of got him out of it. Like, he shook. He was shook from that. He kind of got back up on his feet, whatever. Fixated himself, and he's like, all right. That means I got to change something. I haven't seen him in a while, but I'm assuming, hopefully, that he changed that. So that's an example of honesty in my case. I literally have that written down. Like, it's in my closet. I have all my values on a paper, and they're all written. They're just, like, literally in my closet. So every time I open them, I can just look in there, and I can read them.
And your goal there is to be upfront and honest, but not to be blunt.
No, not to be blunt.
It's you don't want to be blunt. You want to be honest, but also compassionate. So you want the best for the person, and that's why you're telling the truth. They need to understand that. The next bit of advice for being sociable is taking baby steps. It's really useful. I think we noted it earlier. There's a guy named Lev Vygotsky, and he came up with a theory of the zone of proximal development. And it's basically, you have an area that you can develop to on your own, and that increasingly largens as you move into that area and practice. But there's a bigger area, a wider area, that you can get to with help. So he's saying, with help, you can develop and learn faster than you can just by yourself. So, first of all, that says, if you already have a friend, you might want to use that and have them introduce you to a group of friends. But also, you're not going to be just sociable the first time you jump into a rave and talk to a group of people. And I don't think anyone actually wants to do that if they have social anxiety or problems socializing.
Exactly. You gotta work your way into it. It takes progress and it takes time, so don't push yourself too hard.
Yeah.
Really.
Forced conversation is not very comfortable in the slightest. So what you should do is maybe first go outside and just go find some people. You don't have to talk to them. You don't have to watch them. That would be...
That would be creepy. You're not going to want to stare at people, but like, you know, just you see some people. Boom. That's the start. And then you go back. And then on another occasion, the next day, you could go back outside and you pass some people, maybe the same people, and you just say, hey. That's it. You don't need to say anything else. You just say hello.
Mm-hmm.
Good afternoon. Good morning. Whatever. And then you go back to your house.
And you can keep working your way up until you can make small talk. And then you can join groups of friends at your workplace or your school. Confidence is a learned trait. I believe that. And I personally had to build up confidence. I was in a really small school and I transitioned to a really big school. So what I did is I pretended to be confident. And eventually I gained more and more confidence. So I think it's a fake it till you make it.
Confidence can kind of be faked. And if you can appear confident, you're going to appeal more attractive and appealing to talk to.
And not like romantically. Just
No.
Just be more, you know.
Yeah, you're going to seem more of a confident person. And when you seem more confident, people are going to feel more comfortable talking around you.
And boom, more sociable. There you go.
So confidence is key, and if you don't have it, well, you can start essentially faking confidence.
Yeah.
To the point where you actually start to get it, because when you fake it enough, you might start seeing results. And when you start seeing results is when the confidence starts to kick in.
Mm-hmm. It's not like you're going to buy it from the grocery store. And then, what's the next bit of advice, Kimberly?
Stretch, hold on. This part's not going to be in, I'm just stretching.
Yes, stretch.
I'm thinking.
You'll be 2 times more sociable if you stretch before
Or maybe.
working out and socializing.
Oh, okay.
Alright.
Another thing we want to add is once you start to get into the habit of being more sociable, you want to first find good, reliable friends that you can stay with. So think of your values, think of your goals, and then just find a couple friends who can be reliable to you. And stick with those guys, you know? Be friends with them, show up for them, and then they'll show up for you.
Yeah, you don't need very many friends to be sociable.
You don't. So, really, you don't need to, especially if you're starting to get into the habit of being more sociable, you don't need to jump out the gun, like jump straight into the deep end of the pool. Like we said, baby steps. But keep your reliable friends in mind and use them in a sense as a safety net. So you could try to be more sociable, and if those friendships don't work, it's alright, because you still have your safety net of friends. When you're pushing yourself into new social situations, use these friends as well to help you. You could try going to some local event with some people or a party or something, and bring your friends with you, so that way you can, you know, kind of repel back to them if you need a moment to breathe or whatever. These reliable friends are going to be essential for helping you expand your social network in the future.
And keeping you aligned when you're practicing self-development.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's so useful to have good friends. And to be able to make good friends, too. 'Cause otherwise, you can't have good friends.
It's true. It's true. And the last piece of advice that we can give to you today is really to keep practicing and continuously push your boundaries. You don't need to push them too hard, but you need to push them at least a little bit. I'd say strive for like at least a 1% increase like every day or every week. You know, you want to continuously overload the practice, and it doesn't need to be a lot. In fact, it should be really, really small, because that's what's going to keep you going. You want to keep doing this, right?
Accomplish that goal you made.
Accomplish that goal. It'll take some time, but practice it consistently. Eventually, you'll see results. Oh shoot, that was a big gulp.
You're gonna die again like last time?
Maybe. And for today's episode, that's the basics of being sociable, essentially. Some of our advice that we could give to you. And hopefully you can try to utilize this in your life. Maybe you learn something new, or Maybe you already knew this, but a nice reminder was essential for you. Regardless of the case, this has been Intuitive Deep Dive. I'm Camden.
I'm Thomas.
And remember,
There's always another perspective.